and get this, you ain't the only one living. You are also living for the people who are connected to you. And if you don't take seriously the weight of the people who are coming, you will live carelessly and self-centered, and you will mismanage the doors that God gives you. Preach, man of God.
Good evening, everybody. We are so excited. Welcome to another month of Let's Talk with Dr. Mia Wilson. Dr. Wilson, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fabulous. How about yourself?
I have no complaints. Listen, everybody, I promise you tonight is a night you don't want to miss. Do me a favor right now. I see you logging going. Go ahead and share. Hit the share button. Hit the share button. Did I mention hit the share button? I promise you tonight is going to be an amazing topic. I got the sneak peek on it. Listen, she is talking to us tonight on anger. That's all I'm going to say, how to deal with anger. I know about 5 people I'm getting ready to tag and tell them this is mandatory to watch. Some family members, some co-workers. Listen again, tonight is going to be an amazing night. We're so excited and we're so grateful for the ministry gift and the gift of Dr. Mia Wilson, who comes to us every month and helps us mentally in our empowered living. As you know, Bishop has told us that this is our year of living an empowered life. And we're so grateful for the ministry gift of Dr. Wilson that she helps us again every month as we look at an empowered life through our mental space. So without further ado, Dr. Wilson, I'm turning it over to you. I have my notebook right here. I'm taking notes. I'm tagging people. I'm turning it over to you, ma'am. It's all yours.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me back to Let's Talk. I'm so excited. As we know, I am Dr. Mia Wilson. For those who don't know me, I'm a licensed mental health counselor for the state of Florida and actually a licensed professional counselor for the state of Georgia, certified addiction professional and certified traumatologist. So tonight I want to talk about anger. We see it all around us. It's been infecting us in our society, in our community, especially has been coming out. I don't want to say with whom was in the White House, but it has been percolating ever since. Nowadays, you can watch the media. They don't even give you any warnings that, this is going to be graphic. You just see the graphic material of people just being violent. So tonight I want to talk about how to tame your tongue because, sometimes when we've just been isolated for so long, we're still in the midst of the pandemic, after a while, people get on your last pinky toe nerves. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Got a nice PowerPoint for you. And we are going to learn how to tame our tongue, some anger management strategies. And so pretty much the training overview is about the definition of anger, the expression of anger, myths about anger, being aware of anger triggers, some strategies to reduce and manage anger, conflict resolution skills, some fair fighting, some ground rules, and even how to deal with your children. Because, hey, our children get very angry too. And so we can send little Johnny off to school and say, okay, he's going to be okay. But, we never know when little Johnny going to have his feel and be like going off on the teacher or going off on one of the students or vice versa. Because some of the teachers are very angry too. They fed up. So let's look at anger. Anger is one of those things that is a very, let me start there we go. It's one of those things that it's a very powerful emotion. We all have anger. And I tell my clients, I'm in private practice and I've been in private practice for over 16 years now. And I've been in the mental health field for 25. And I tell, and anger is usually one that always come up. And I tell my clients, it's okay to be angry. That is one of our emotions. And it's a very powerful emotion. But it's a mask for a lot of emotions that we don't want to talk about or we consider weak emotions. And so it can stem from frustration, from hurt, hurt people, that saying, hurt people, hurt other people, right? Annoyance, I am about sick of you and I'm tired. Remember that pinky toe, you're on my last pinky toe nerves, right? It's what my grandmother used to say. And when she said that, you better clear the room. It can also come from disappointment. And so it's a normal human emotions that can range from a slight irritation to a very strong rage. And again, it can mask a lot of different feelings that we've considered weak. And so I don't want people to think I'm weak. So I will mask it up with anger or depressed. Um, we will, instead of saying, oh man, I'm sad, I'm this, it would just come out in irritability and very angry. It can be caused by both internal and external triggers and cues. So different things outside of me or just things that I am dealing with within myself can trigger off my anger. It could be my own thoughts. I'm driving down and I'm thinking, man, I can't, oh, that boss, I'm getting ready to go face that boss. And I'm already upset before I get there. Expressing anger. So, anger could be expressed in many ways. So now anger is one of these powerful emotions that if you don't watch it, it will control you while you're trying to control it. Because I had some people say, man, I was so angry, I saw red, and then I just blanked out. And the next thing I know, somebody had to pull me off of them. So it's one of those emotions that are it's so powerful that it can actually take over and control you if you don't watch it. But it's a natural adaptive response to threats, either real or perceived. My boss may not necessarily going to physically harm me, but in my head, they really getting on my nerves. They were really getting on my nerves. And so I'm very angry. And so it could be either real threats or perceived threats. And that is internally I'm dealing with. Some ways anger is expressed is we have what we call aggressive anger. So this is the one that we pretty much identify with. So this is the outward expression that we are yelling, screaming, shouting, shoving, slapping, hitting, kicking. Those are the common responses. And I know a lot of us are Christians, but we can have some cussing Christians too. Because you were like, wow, I thought she was saved and highly favored. But when she get on when you get on that last pinky toe nerves, boy, she might turn that other cheek and be like, look, I'm about to curse you out. So this is the aggressive action. This is the one that we mostly see. We may throw things or we may break items that belong to us or other people. Now later when that anger, died down, then we're like, man, why did I break the things? Now we got to replace it. We could be verbally aggressive, yelling, name calling, insulting, or cursing. It can be vengeful behavior. So, this is the desire to get back at someone. It's a common reaction when we have been hurt or violated. So, now you may be more familiar with people. There's a song about it too. I broke the windows in his car. Yeah. So this is a huge downside to this style of anger. It's almost like a tit for tat. Oh, you piss me off, I'm going to get you. And so the huge downside to this style of anger is that as long as we focus on getting even, our unresolved anger and hostility can take roots in our heart and grow quickly in bitterness. Another good example of this is when the Oklahoma bombing, everybody was, they were so relieved that he got caught, that he was arrested, and they could not wait till he was executed, that he went through the execution. And they just thought, oh yeah, once that happened, um, they thought that it was going to help them with their grief, only to find out that even after he got executed by the state, that their grief and their grief for their lost loved ones was still there. And so it didn't really solve anything. All right, suppressing anger. Now, some of us, we suppress our anger, we feel mad, but we work really hard to hold it in. So usually close friends, maybe family members can pick up on the anger that these people feel, but they try to hold it in as much as they can. Some people are masters of suppression, and nobody truly knows how much hostility they hold inside. Unfortunately, this type of anger comes with a common physical cause. A lot of times we suppress anger because I don't want people to perceive me a certain way, or I don't want to be looked at as the angry black person. Um, but it does come with a physical cause: high blood pressure, digestive problems, and heart disease, chronic tension and unhappiness, fatigue and distress frequently occurs as well. And they're constantly, it's hard for them to sleep because I am constantly thinking about all the things I'm very angry about. It just constantly going through my head, this constant thought. And so I'm not able to sleep well. And so it builds up my stress. Therefore, suppressing anger doesn't constitute a very good anger management strategy. And then the very thing that you're angry about, it doesn't get resolved because nobody even know that you're angry about it. Withdrawing communication. Now, I have a lot of this. I do couples counseling and marriage counseling. And so I see a lot of this happening in my couples. They would withdraw their communication. You piss me off. I'm temporarily leaving the scene of a heated argument, which is a good thing. Sometimes we need that time out. But in the midst of the conflict, it can give both parties an opportunity to calm down and think the issue through. And I usually tell them, take 15 minutes, just take a time out, get away from each other, and then come back. Well, where it becomes destructive is when we just distance ourselves and we avoid communication with someone for days and weeks, and sometimes years. So we refuse to answer emails or calls. We call it blocking. I just put them on block and I don't want to talk to them. I block them on social media. I block them on my phone. I don't want them to talk to me. And we just keep holding us grudges instead of being able to sit down and talk about it and come up with a solution. We just stop. We just refuse to talk to them at all. So we withhold the communication. This is withholding something. So this is okay. I'm not going to give you the silent treatment, but I'm going to get real stingy with my time, attention, money, and other resources. So in other words, Ray pissed me off, and I'm going to take something that he really likes. So I may take all his books and hold it until I get what I want or need. So I might say, hey, Ray, I'm not going to give you back all your books until you pay me my money or you pay me some attention. And so that's what's holding something. And so it's kind of like a way of manipulating. So if it sounds like that, you're absolutely right. Now, this may sound a little odd, but yes, keeping your cool can be one way of expressing anger. So keeping cool means that you don't respond impulsively. Those people that's like, the ones that are real quiet and you like just yelling, calling them names, and you're doing all these things, you're all in their face, and they're like, yeah. Yeah. So this is where they take a slow, deep breath or two before saying anything. And then you directly express your feelings while trying to solve the issues or problem. So it's a way of being able to manage your anger and even manage the situation by keeping your cool. So it doesn't mean that you're not angry, but it's a way of being able to manage your anger so that the anger is not managing you. Now, a couple of myths about anger is inherited. Some people say, oh, well, my dad was angry, my grandparent father was angry, so yeah, but expression of anger is a learned behavior. It's not a genetic it's not something that you're going to inherit genetically. Research shows that people are not born with a specific way of expressing anger, but I can learn it because I see how you handle situations or how you problem solve. And so, because you remember that we learn our communication through our family of origin. Anger automatically leads to aggression. Well, that's a misconception. We just talked about keeping you cool, right? So the only way that the misconception is that the only way to express anger is through aggression. Well, that's not true. It can also be expressed passive aggressive. So passive aggressive is I'm real nice in your face, but behind your back, I might act aggressively. So let's say that you came home 30 minutes late from work and you didn't call me or let me know that you're coming in late, and I just happened to burn your dinner. Well, that's a way of passive aggressive. And I burn your dinner intentionally. So even if you ask me, hey, are you upset with me? No, I'm good. But 30 minutes ago, your dinner was well done. 30 minutes afterward, it's burnt. So that's the expression of a passive aggressive, or, somebody that's being sarcastic. Okay, so that's a way of expressing anger. Or it could be assertive. And sometimes people get assertive mixed with aggression. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Or it could be passive. So remember the one that is holding, suppressing their anger. I'm angry, but I'm stuffing it. um Myth number 3, you must be aggressive to get what you want. Well, many people confuse assertiveness with aggression. So being assertive means I am talking about my, what I am upset with, or I'm grateful for, what I need, and I'm assertively listening to you, as well as I'm being listened to. So it doesn't mean that I'm being aggressive just because I'm asking for what I want or what I need. Or if you hurt my feelings, it's about me being able to be assertive to let you know. And so instead of suppressing it, hey, I'm going to let you know when you do this and whatever that is. When you come home late for dinner, I'm upset because I don't know what is going on. I don't know if you're hurt. I don't know, I don't know if you're hurt. I don't know if something happens to you. So when you are late coming home and you don't call me, I get upset. Um, and so myth number 4, if you ignore angry feelings, they will go away. Well, no. Ignoring feelings rob us of the opportunity to examine what is really wrong and fix it. So if I'm angry with a person and I just like, man, I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm not gonna say anything. Maybe it'll just go away. Well, the likelihood that the person is going to keep doing it is going to be great, because I didn't really tell you that I was angry with you, or what you did anger me, or what was behind the anger. It hurt my feelings. It scared me, whatever the case may be. So what usually happens is, because I'm not telling you and the person keeps doing it over and over again, I'm going to nitpick you to death. So everything that you do gets on my nerves. You chew too loud. I don't like the way you get up in the morning. Why you have to turn on all the lights? Why didn't you turn the lights off when I left the room? Everything. And I'm just going to nitpick you, because we really did not examine what was really going on. Because we're not dealing with the real issue. So the anger is not the problem in this case. The problem is the problem. So being aware of our anger triggers, triggers varies for each person, and it can varies from 1 month to the next, with the same person. So what is a trigger for one person may not have any effect on the other. It could be anything about our environment. It can be the traffic. It can be bad drivers. It can be the things that I see on the news in my community. It could be my own relationships with my children, my grandchildren, my aunts, my nieces, grandparents, parents, etc., siblings. It could be parenting and childhood issues. And so I may have some unresolved childhood issues that is still, when I see something similar that happened on television, or I'm in the same room with a particular parent or uncle, all of those anger comes up because it has not been resolved. It could be work. We spend a lot of time at work, And so it could be a coworker, it could be a supervisor, it could be the work environment itself. There's just the demand of it. I know a lot of times, it may be a hostile work environment, or because there's not enough people. I was just talking to somebody this month where they said because there's such a shortage at work, they can't take vacations. It could be politics. When we see that, red versus blue, and they back and forth, and arguing. It could be religious, or systemic, about the systemic problems. Oh my gosh, when are they going to fix the health care? Or, and that could be a stressor. It could be expectations of people onto you. So we know that misplaced expectations is a big trigger for people. And so if people expecting things out of you all the time, that could make you angry, make you frustrated. Or it could be the opposite. I'm expecting people to be like XYZ. And because when they don't meet my own expectations, now I'm angry. If only people were custom made for us, right? It could be other emotions. It could be anxiety. It can be, and I'm angry because every time I go into a crowd, I'm freaking out, and so now I'm angry with myself. It could be depression. So let's look at some strategies to reduce and manage our anger. One thing is the relaxation technique. Every time I'm feeling anger, before I approach that situation, let me learn how to take a deep breath. Let me just breathe through the anger. Let the anger just come and go like a sailboat. I'm going to be angry. That's one of my emotions. But how I handle it, that's up to me. So let me just be able to relax, take a breath, and then let me get back into the situation so I can problem solve. And I definitely want to make sure that I'm solving my problems, because if not, the likelihood of those problems to keep coming up that's triggering me is going to be good. It's going to, I can guarantee it's going to keep recycling. I use appropriate humor, not take it, maybe a situation too seriously. Maybe be able to kind of loosen up and take and have some appropriate humor, not making fun of a person. It could be prayer, being able to just kind of get into a prayerful state and just kind of like, you know what, let me just take this and, take this to God. Let me just, because, even in the Bible, it says you don't want the wrath of your anger. Um, they talk about there's certain Bible verses in the Bible that talks about anger. So let me take this in prayer. And let me even pray about how to even solve this. It could be meditation, just being able to calm my body down, um, just taking some deep breaths. It could be counseling and therapy. I do see a lot of people who have a hard time managing their anger to come to counseling. It could be assertiveness training, learning how to communicate assertively instead of aggressively, and especially when people have problems with control. And being able to talk through your feelings, not try to ignore it, not trying to suppress it, but try to work on changing my behavior. I can't change my behavior and I can't change my feelings if I don't change how I think about it. Because if I'm having anger thoughts, I'm going to act on it. So, some reasons to monitor and maintain and manage our anger, because you definitely don't want your anger to manage you, right? So, studies monitor heart rates when people are angry, which shows an increase from 80 beats per minute to 170 beats per minute. And then our blood pressure also increased from a 120 over 80 to 200 um, over 110. Now, if anybody knows in the healthcare field or ever had a stroke, we know that is dangerously high for stroke. Muscular tightness and anger can lead to tension, headaches, migraines, and insomnia. Again, I can't sleep because I'm constantly thinking about what I'm angry about or pissed off about or frustrated about. Conversely, laughter does, remember we said using appropriate humor, laughter does reduce the extended cortisol release, the 39%. So this is cortisol is the chemicals that is released when we're stressed. So too much of that, that's where it starts causing problems. So when we start having laughter, just kind of saying, let me look at this from a different angle. I'm able to kind of release some of that cortisol and reduce my stress. We also have 4 key conflict resolution skills. So one of them is the quickly we want to be able to relieve our stress. 2, we want to recognize and be able to manage my emotions. Again, we don't want our anger to manage us. So I want to be able to relieve the stress and then manage my own emotions. 3, improve my nonverbal communication skills. So I can be cool, but if I'm still looking like I'm about to I'm about to box you, a lot of times 90% of how we communicate is nonverbal. So if I'm still rolling my eyes and sucking my teeth and getting ready, looking like I'm about to jump on you anytime now, even though I'm saying, hey, I'm cool, but I also got to make sure that my nonverbals is saying the same thing. And then use humor to play, and play to deal with challenges. Not looking at everything so super sensitive or super serious that I can't say, well, let me look at it from a different angle. Oh, I'll give you a funny example. So my ex-boyfriend, I don't think he will be on this because he's in Minnesota, and he's an ex-boyfriend from high school, so way back in the day. So he found me on Facebook, and so he contacted me. And he got upset because he had invited me to Minnesota. And I said, you mean Minnesota, the state that has like below 0 degrees? Yeah, no. I said, no, I'm not coming up there. So he got really angry. And so, I played it cool. I listened to him out because usually if somebody's angry, they're really saying 2 things. They're saying a lot of things. But when we're angry, we really are saying 2 things. I want you to hear me and understand what I'm saying. Just kind of hear me out and understand where I'm coming from. And so I did. I played it cool. I listened to him and he was ranting and raving. I couldn't understand why he was. I haven't seen him in years. And so I just let him just vent and say what he needed to say. And then he stopped and he was like, you're not even listening to me. And usually I don't even going to respond maybe 1 or 2 words. I don't respond with a lot because if I respond with a whole sentence, then that's like adding more fuel to the fire. So I usually say 1 word or 2 word answers. So I said, I'm listening. I'm here. And then so it's not too much you can do with that. And so, what they say, a person can't they can't yell and scream by themselves, but for too long, you can't have an argument by yourself too long. So after he finished, he was like, well, you act like you don't care. And I said, I care. He said, well, you're not saying much. I said, because I'm listening. I'm getting ready to go. And I said, well, okay. I said, I hope you have a better day. Now, I'm not using it to put him down. Now, that whole conversation took about 5 minutes, if that. But what I did want to do, it was to play into his anger. And then I'm constantly, giving him more ammo for his fire. So let me show you a quick little video about conflict resolution skills. Now, this is, if anybody ever watched Friends, this is a conflict resolution demonstrated by Friends.
Okay, Rachel, why don't you start talking first? All right. I feel that this is totally unjustified. She gave me the green light. I did nothing. Do you think I can't see you on the TV set? All right, Monica, if there is something that you would like to share. You had no right to go out with him. That is the most ridiculous. You sold me out. I did not sell you out. I did absolutely sold me. Talk. Did you just flick me? Okay, well, you wouldn't let me finish, and I was just... Ow, that hurt. Quit flicking. Ow, you flicking. You flicked me first. Ow, get it. Ow. Oh, all right, okay. Let's not do this. Come on. Happy thoughts. Happy thoughts. Come on. Okay, now I'm gonna kick some. Ow! Ow! All right. Now I will let go if you both stop. Oh, what do you want me to stop seeing him? Is that what you want? You want me to just call him up and tell him that you're seeing him instead? Is that what you want? Okay. Oh, that's what you want. Yes. Fine. Fine. There we go. Say you're sorry. No. Say it, Rachel. No, I'm not. Say it. Say it. Oh, right. Rachel, you say you're sorry, or your sweater gets it. Okay. That is my favorite sweater. That is my third date sweater. Say you're sorry. Okay, you want to play? Okay, let's play. Let's play. What are you going to do? You give me back my sweater or a tan bag marinara? You don't have the guts. Oh, yeah? Well, at least I wasn't too chicken to tell some guy I thought he was cute. Oh! Remember why you started fighting in the first place. She knew that I liked you and and she wanted to fight in the first. Yes, that's right. But still, look at your purse. Look at your sweater. Look at yourselves. I'll help you fix your sweater. I'll help you throw out your purse. I'm sorry that I made you stop seeing him. Well, I'm sorry I went out with him when I knew you liked him. I'm sorry that I borrowed your gloves.
Okay, so that was kind of a humorous way of about conflict resolution with the two ladies, and how they were able to stop. Because as you can see, when you're arguing, you can't hear each other, and so when you stop and actually talk and being assertive, you could be able to kind of hear what the other person is going through, and vice versa. So let's look at some fair fighting, some ground rules. Dun, 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 dun. We want to be able to remain calm. You want to not try to overreact to difficult situations. It's already difficult enough, but remaining calm is more likely that others will consider your viewpoint. When we come at you yelling, screaming, I'm not approaching a person where they can be able to hear what I'm saying. And a lot of times when we yelling and screaming, a person will shut down, and then we don't get anywhere. Express your feelings in words and not action. So telling someone directly and honestly how you feel can be a very powerful form of communication. So if you start to feel so angry or upset that you may lose control, take a timeout. Timeout is not just for children, it's for adults as well. Take 15 minutes, breathe, get yourself together, think about what it is that you're angry about, and you find yourself feeling a little bit more steadier. and then come back 15 minutes later, come back and then let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. Be specific about what is bothering you. Those vague complaints are hard to work on. Deal with one issue at a time. Don't introduce other topics. Because sometimes people, when come in with one topic and then you come in with three or four topics, well, then you kind of dismiss my problem that I had introduced you with in the first place. So we don't want to introduce other topics until each one is fully discussed. One topic at a time. And this is avoid the kitchen sink effect. This is when people throw all their complaints into what we call the kitchen sink. Well, I didn't like when you did this. Well, 5 years ago, I didn't like when you did that. And then you did this and you did that. Well, but you did this last year and last month. We're throwing in all of our complaints about the person and nothing is getting resolved. All we're doing is just throwing in the windows at each other. No hitting below the belt. So this means attacking, sometimes we can be so angry that we start attacking areas of personal sensitivity, which creates an atmosphere of distrust, anger, and vulnerability. Avoid accusations. Accusations will cause others to defend themselves. So instead, talk about how the person's actions made you feel. We don't want to, when a person is very vulnerable with you and, giving you sensitive information, you want to come back and throw it in their face. You want to be able to talk about their actions that upset you. Don't generalize. We want to avoid words like never or always, because that's not usually accurate. And those are just the words that kind of get that dig in. And so it will definitely heighten your tension. So you want to avoid make believes and exaggerating or inventing a complaint or your feelings about it that will prevent the real issues from surfacing. So you want to stick with your facts and again with your honest feelings. You don't want to stockpile. That means storing up a lot of grievance. I've been holding all this stuff in and hurt feelings over the time that it becomes counterproductive. So it's almost impossible to deal with the numerous old problems for which interpretations may differ. I may think it was a problem. They didn't think it was a problem. But part of it is to deal with the problem at hand during that time and not hold on to hurt feelings from our past that we can't do anything about anyway. Neither one of us can. And a lot of times we're holding on to hurt feelings and on a situation that's not even around anymore. But we've been holding on for so long. Avoid clamming up. So when one person becomes silent and stop responding to another, frustrations and anger can respond. So positive results can only be attained with two-way conversations. So in other words, let's take a breath, let's sit down and let's talk about what's going on. As you see with the two ladies, once they calm down and start talking it out, they could hear what was going on with each other. And now for the two major rules, we want to take a timeout if things get too heated. Yes, I'm bringing that back up. In a perfect world, we will all follow these rules 100% of the time, but it just doesn't work out that way. So when an argument starts to become personal or heated, take that time out. I work with the NFL players. I tell them all the time, it costs you nothing to walk away. It costs you thousands and thousands of dollars that I'm sure you will want to, spend it on something else to put your hands on them. Agree on the time that we can come back. Hey, when's a good time for us to sit down and talk about it? Okay. And I'll meet you on the sofa at 7:30 and discuss the problem after everyone has cooled down. Attempt to come to a compromise or an understanding. There's not going to always be a perfect answer to an argument. Life is too really complicated or messy for that. But we want to do our best to come up with a compromise. That means some give and take from both sides. And my ex-boyfriend, he did call me back maybe 2 days later, much calmer. And then I was able to, we could have that conversation. And we were able to problem solve. No, I did not go to Minnesota, but we were able to say, hey, we can, you know what? The compromise was every once in a while we can call each other and just kind of check in and see how, kind of catch up. And that was the compromise. If you can't come to a compromise, simply taking the time to understand your partner's perspective can help soothe negative feelings. Again, I want to be understood. I want to be respected. And a lot of times when we get in an argument, it's a lot when people feel disrespected. So dealing with children and their anger, because children get angry as well. Sometimes we're like, what do they get angry about? Why are they angry? They got it made. But when a child reacts and lashes out, it has an effect of whether they can continue to respond to distress in the same way or learn to better handle better ways to handling feelings. So they don't become overwhelming. Here are some pointers. Remember, anger is a learned behavior, right? So, pointers for children, you want to be able to stay calm. When your child is getting angry, or your grandchild is getting angry, or your niece and nephew, you want to be able to stay calm. I don't want to match your energy with your energy. And then we just have this toxic energy going on. So, I want to be the calm, the eye of the storm. I don't want to give in. I don't want to give in and say, okay, I'm going to let you do XYZ if you stop yelling and screaming, because then I am reinforcing that behavior. So then they know every time I just have a fit, yell, scream, whatever, then I can get what I want. I remember when my godson was about 12. He wanted an iPhone so bad, and he bugged his mother every day. So when I came over, she was like, "Please come talk to your godson about this phone. I don't want to give him a phone." So he yelled, he was whining to me, I want an iPhone. You don't even have to turn it on and blah, 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 blah. I just want this iPhone. He went on and on and on. And so finally I said, you can get an iPhone, but you just won't get one at this time. And I let him know, I stayed calm, and I let him know the reasons why he wasn't going to get the iPhone at this time. And surprisingly, he was like, oh, okay. I said, you're just not going to get it now. You eventually will get one, but you're not going to get one now. You're going to get one, later on when you're a little bit older. You want to also praise appropriate behavior. We don't want to just always highlight when they're doing negative behavior, but we also want to praise appropriate behavior. We want that as well. When we doing something great, we like that feedback. And when we're not doing something great, we don't necessarily want the feedback, but we get those feedback as well. Well, the same thing applies to children. Help them practice problem solving skills. Hey, let's look at, when you keep fighting your sister or your sibling, what are let's look at some ways that we can problem solve. Taking some time out in reward system. If you're doing something, you take a, time out so you can calm yourself. And then when you're doing something good, let's get a reward. And the reward can be anything from extra TV time or extra time. You can get some time with your video games or time you're talking to your friends. So it doesn't necessarily have to be monetary. And you want to help them avoid triggers. And so avoiding triggers can be, we kind of know what children's triggers are. They don't like to go to bed, or they don't like to do homework. So you might want to break it down in small segments. Hey, okay, in 5 minutes, we're going to be getting ready for bed. And sometimes if they just having a temper tantrum, just let them go ahead and have that little temper tantrum. And then in the 5 minutes, we're still going to get ready to go to bed. So sometimes it's about breaking it down. In 5 minutes, we're going to we're going to take a bath, and so taking a big task and then breaking it down. And here are some references. Sometimes, before I finish, with children, sometimes they're lashing out may be something more serious going on with the children. So sometimes children with ADHD, they can get very frustrated very easily. So sometimes it's about being able to find the underlying problems that's going on with the child. If the child is anxious, they may lash out at school or at home, because they're under a lot of pressure, or they have test pressure, test anxiety, or they are not getting along with their friends, or their friends broke up with them. It could be an undiagnosed learning disability. So if the child has that, every time they're in that particular class, if they have a reading disability or a math disability, they may lash out because they just can't. The work is too hard for them, or they're very frustrated. Some kids that lash out, they may have a sensory processing issue. So it could be a lot of noise. They may be very sensitive to noise, to the crowd. If the class is a little unruly, it could be that. Even sensory, as their clothes are uncomfortable, that can make them very frustrated. And if a child is diagnosed with anything, any spectrum of the autism spectrum, they can also get very frustrated and faced with, if there's unexpected changes, things of that nature that will make them very anxious and agitated. So sometimes when a child is lashing out, instead of saying, oh, they're just being bad, there may truly be some underlying issues that's going on. All right. So that is the end of my presentation. I really appreciate it. I hope you got a chance to share, and I hope that you were able to get something out of it, and learning how to tame our tongue, and what about all these different types of anger. Maybe you can identify it within yourself or with somebody else and say, hey, I know somebody that acts just like that. So I hope that was helpful. I don't know if anybody had any questions or any comments they would like to leave.
What an amazing, amazing, amazing presentation. Thank you so much,
Thank
Dr.
you,
Will.
Ray.
Thank you so much. Listen to the people who logged in tonight. Thank you for the gift of your time. Listen, do me a favor. Share this presentation. When it ends, I'll continue to share. What an amazing presentation on how to deal with anger and tame our feelings, and how to be able to process moments when things happen. The Bible says, Psalms 34, I will bless the Lord at all times. So, Dr. Wilson, I have learned that in order for it to be all time, it means I'm going to have some amazing days, but all times also means I'm going to have some days where I need to tame my anger. And so, what an amazing presentation. Thank you for helping us, continuing to help us grow. Listen, everybody, join us again next month, same place, same time, for another episode of Let's Talk. Thank you all so much for your gift of your time. Thank you, Dr. Wilson, for
Thank
sharing with
you.
us tonight. Listen, share. We're so excited because we're gearing up. Tomorrow night, we will have our nightcap. Thursday, we will have our Thursday recharge. And Sunday, I have to take the time to tell you, Sunday, we are celebrating our bishop. And we're so excited that we're celebrating his birthday. His birthday is actually the following week, but we did not want to interfere with Mother's Day weekend. And so we're coming together. If you are in the Jacksonville area, come have breakfast with Bishop. 8 o'clock in the morning, come have breakfast with Bishop and the First Family. And then beginning at 9 o'clock, we're going to celebrate our man to God. It's been a phenomenal night tonight. We'll see you next time.